welcome to Virtual Creation Studio here in Charlottetown, Prince Edward Island. We are delighted to be with Marathon Mental Health with Chandni.chaube, and she is the owner of Marathon Mental Health. Very, very important services for people that need mental health challenges.
Yes, yeah.
So tell me, before you have to see this resume. It's absolutely amazing. She has got a MACP, a CT, a CCC, and an EMDR after her name. Like, it's crazy. So let's talk about what these are.
Sure. So the MACP is a Master of Arts in Counseling Psychology.
Okay.
The CT means that I'm a registered counseling therapist.
Awesome.
With the College of Counseling Therapy in PEI because it's a regulated health profession here.
Is that provincial and federal?
Provincial.
Just provincial.
Yeah. And then the CCC is Canadian Certified Counselor.
Wow.
And that's a national association. And that association is the Canadian Counseling and Psychotherapy Association.
Wow.
Yeah, so those are the groups I'm a part of, yeah. And then the EMDR, I don't really have that at the end of my name yet, but that is one of the therapy and counseling modalities that I use and that I believe in very much as a really helpful tool for a lot of people.
Wow, that's awesome. So how many years did it take you to get all of that stuff?
To get all of that stuff, I guess I started on this journey in 2018.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so my journey started, I think this is like my third or fourth career. Yeah, so I've had a few changes in my life.
Listen, people, you look at her and you think, okay, she's like 18. She's not. She's actually she's actually a very experienced counselor, but it's crazy. Anyway, but it's all good. So
thanks for that, by the way, Paul. I had a really long and wonderful career in corporate business, and I just found myself getting burnt out more and more frequently.
Yeah. I can see that.
And it was, and I had a tougher time recovering from each of those burnouts. And then it came to the point where I thought to myself, what am I doing with the rest of my working years? I want to do something so that with the next 25 years of my working life, I can do something where I feel that I'm making a difference in the lives of individuals one-to-one in a way that's far more impactful than I've ever done before. And I want to feel like that I'm being rewarded in a way that I have never been rewarded before.
Well, it makes sense too, really, if you think about it. If you give somebody a gift, right? People say, oh, you're spending money on a gift, and why would you do that? But mentally, it gives the provider, the person that's giving the gift, much, much more gratification than the person that's getting the giftee. So it's kind of the same idea.
I think that's a very similar idea.
Yeah. It's really amazing. So it's good that you left the whole big business corporate stuff because, as you know, Atlantic Business Federation is for small business. And we're delighted to have Marathon Mental Health as Marathon Mental Health as clients with us. And we're delighted to see you providing great services, which is amazing. And speaking of that, there's a lot of mental health issues that are out there, of course, and with your experience, and you're very experienced, which is great, but there's a lot of commonality, right? You can say, well, it's all because of this, but what would you say would be the 4 or 5 most common, which every day could be different, right?
Yeah. The 4 or 5 most common mental health concerns that people come to me with. I'd say probably depression and anxiety are the big ones and the most common ones. And then after that, I work with a lot of people who are diagnosed with ADHD as well.
Part of our division is Blue Cross. Mm-hmm. And the amount of people that come into our office with claims for ADHD, it's staggering.
And so I think, one of the refreshing things about saying that these are common issues is that I feel like maybe individuals won't feel as alone or as separate.
Yeah, I can see that.
By knowing that there's other people who have these symptoms and who deal with these problems a lot as well.
It really is eye-opening. Because, when I was a kid, we didn't have that. go drink your salad.
Yes, yes.
It just wasn't there.
Yeah.
How can, this is kind of on a personal note, but I had a very, very strong family member that had lost 2 children. This was a long, long time ago. But at the time, the counseling back then, this was back in the 60s, by the way, so we're not talking, she's an older lady now, great woman, but she was not counseled at all, and she's 88 years old now. The challenge was that what she's experiencing right now as an 88-year-old woman, it's really hard to watch sometimes. And the reality is that, by not dealing with that stuff, you probably see it as well, but how would not dealing with your mental health issues affect somebody in the long term?
Yeah, I think by listening to your story about the person that you know, that may have been a very traumatic event for her to have suffered those losses. And what happens when we go through traumatic experiences or adverse experiences in our lifetimes, those experiences have a way of getting stuck in our brains in isolation by themselves. And they don't really link up to any of the healthy processing pathways in our brains.
Right.
So if you have like good experiences, happy experiences, your brain learns to grow, to adapt, and even if they're not happy, even if they're just not terrible, you learn to grow, you learn to adapt, because that's what we're naturally inclined to do as human beings, to heal, grow, adapt, and live optimally. But when bad things happen to us, they get stuck. And then when we're reminded about these events in some way, like triggered, if we see a color or a smell, or see someone's face, it can take us back in our minds to the time when that bad thing happened, and we can respond like we did at the time when that bad thing happened, either very fearfully, wanting to run, wanting to fight, a variety of different responses, maybe even just freezing up. And so they can, by not dealing with those negative experiences, we can re-experience them in ways, sometimes in subtle ways, but in ways that also can lead to us not living and functioning to our best, not living and functioning optimally.
It's sort of like I got another friend, not the older lady, but he was in the military, and he really, like, I grew up with this guy, and he was just a great guy. But anyways, he was in the military. Some things happened, and to this day, he's never dealt with it. But you could see it. We were actually out to dinner not too long ago, and something, maybe the waiter or the waitress, actually, she just did something, and he just panicked. Like his change was literally like from here to here, and everything has changed on him. Like, here's a really great guy, and he still is a great guy. If you're listening to this, not saying that you're not, and I'm not judging you, that's for sure. But his family and his friends see that, right? And by not dealing with that event, right? And he hasn't. We've been trying to encourage him to go to somebody like you for quite some time. But so when people don't deal with that, in your experience, what would you tell me to tell my friend, and why he should get his butt in gear and go down and talk to you? Well, I shouldn't say it like that, but you know what I mean.
I would tell you to tell your friend that you're here for him and you love him dearly, and you support him in his journey, wherever he wants to go, because it's always that person's choice.
Oh yeah.
And it's their decision. And to your friend's credit, it can be very scary. It can be very frightening to even think about going back to those events or that event and opening it up again and talking about it. And even doing so can bring on those same emotions and that same heightened experience of wanting to fight or get away or freeze or whatever the response was, because they're no longer in that moment, and they may be very grateful that they're not there, and they never want to go back to it, even though it comes up from time to time in their present day lives.
So even things that are not are not, traumatic like that. Like, for example, the economy right now is very, very stressful for, a lot. The inflation is very high. Mortgage rates are, people can't, buy homes, and they're stuck in a situation where they're renting or whatever. So what issues or situations similar to that should be addressed in our society now? Not everybody's going through PTSD or, whatever, but just the day-to-day kind of worries and when you talk about anxiety, that would be probably one of the bigger ones, paying your bills.
Oh, absolutely. And I think what comes up for me when you say that is chronic stress, because I feel like as a society as a whole, we've been living at a very, very high level of chronic stress since the pandemic.
Oh, yeah.
And,
for sure.
Maybe even beyond that, especially financially, when we look at great financial crisis that hit us. And then ever since then, it's been like one recession after the other.
Very, very hard.
Very hard. And home affordability has become increasingly more difficult. Like you said, inflation is high, wages aren't following, food prices are through the roof. Gas. And so there are these levels of chronic stress that people are living with. And that chronic stress, it has a dreadful impact on the body as a whole, on cardiovascular system, on your digestion, on pretty much every major body system. It doesn't just live in our minds, it lives in our bodies. And so if a household is experiencing that chronic stress,
everybody in that household.
Everybody is, right? Especially if mom and dad or dad and dad or mom and mom or whatever the case may be, or single parent households, whoever it is, they're trying to make the bills, they're trying to put food on the table, they're trying to get it all together, and they have shorter tempers, they get snappy with each other, they may not have the same time or patience to have sweet conversations with each other.
Yeah.
They may feel like, I'm not doing enough for my family just because the financial situation in the world is what it is.
And that's for the people that are watching this, and they're if you're going through that, we're going to link the website and all of the contact information down below, and we would invite you to reach out, just maybe even to talk for a little bit, because these type of crises, and they don't have to be major, they really don't. But sometimes talking to somebody that's outside of the family can look at it from a whole different perspective. So all of the contact information, phone numbers, website, all of that stuff is right down below. And I guess the other question is like, what type of counseling really do you offer? Like, maybe you only deal with military people. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I deal with youth. So people who are like ages 14 and up, adults and seniors too.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I guess the main group that I don't do a lot of work with, and I don't work with right now, are children. They're a special population.
Yeah.
But those are some of the age groups that I work with. And so I am kind of what you call a generalist. So I work primarily I work with people who have a wide variety of issues that they want to work through. I really enjoy couples counseling.
Okay.
That's something that I really enjoy, and I really enjoy helping people through their traumas as well, because it's really rewarding when I see somebody working hard and they're changing and they come to a place where they're living a better life, and that's where the EMDR work comes in. And I also feel like substance use, addictions, and problem behavior like gambling is an area that deserves a lot of focus when it comes to counseling and mental health.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of that in Prince Edward Island right now. And like I say, we see it, as you know, I'm a mortgage broker, and we do that type of stuff at our other office. But the reality is that without fixing something, you're actually developing the problem. Because if you're in, say, a financial strain, or you can't, if you sit back and clear your head, then the answer's right there. But you have to kind of fight through the jungle before you can find the meadow, right? So, and last question is, how should somebody pick you versus somebody else? Should they, like, how would that decision making go? So,
yeah,
explain that to me.
Sure. I think choosing a counselor is, it's a decision that you have to make, I think, based on a number of different variables. One, do I feel a good connection to this person? Do I feel like there's a fit personality-wise? Do I feel a sense of safety and a sense of comfort, and that I can tell them all the things that I need to talk about, which can be very deep, very personal. It's a very different type of social relationship where it's a one-way relationship. I'm not going to tell you stuff about myself, right, because that's your time to tell me about the things that you want to talk about. So think about that. Think about also what you're specifically looking for counseling for. If you're looking for couples counseling, find somebody who does couples counseling, because not everybody does. If you're looking for somebody to help you with your past traumas, find somebody who does that. Yeah. If you know somebody who has an active substance use or problem behavior issue, or you yourself have that, find somebody who
specializes
who works with that.
Exactly.
Yeah. So go by that, and then also look at affordability and what you can and what you want to pay, right? Because everybody has their rates, and right now counseling therapy is not covered by a medical health system for private pay, right? So you might want to look at, am I using any insurance coverage to pay for this? And if you are, what does your insurance coverage actually cover? Does it cover you working with a registered counseling therapist or a Canadian certified counselor like myself? Mm-hmm. Or does it only cover like social workers, for example, or PhD or PsyD psychologists? Because everyone's plan is going to be a little bit different.
So are you registered with, like, say, Blue Cross and Great West and Manulife and all of that?
Yes, okay. So
That's really important.
Yeah, so I'm registered with Blue Cross Medivie for direct billing, and also with Green Shield for direct billing, and then those are the two that I do direct billing with right now.
Professional counseling is a really, really good economic decision. It really is, because it solves a whole lot of problems that would be faced down the road. And without a professional, you can go to the bar and you can talk to somebody, they'll give you real free counseling. Trust me, it's not good. So, like I say, we're delighted that you're here. You
Thanks,
really
Paul.
are. And we encourage, like, as I mentioned before, we'll put all of the links down below. Go check out our website. Go check out all of our credentials. And it's long. It's long. Anyways, well, thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you, Paul. It's been a pleasure.